this video I wanted to create a weathering technique where I didn't need any oils, which meant I didn't have to have any white spirits lingering around the room, because that stuff absolutely stinks. So I was trying to avoid that when doing these containers. Now, gonna confess, I did nearly quit this halfway through. When doing one of the containers, as you can see here, when starting to chip away the paint. Now this one had the liquid mask on, and there was only a little bit of paint on this, but when I was starting to pull the liquid mask off, it pulled all the paint off. And I nearly lost the plot, and I nearly quit and thought, yeah, I ain't doing this. I'm just gonna play safe, do something I know better of. But I decided to stick it out, because at the end of the day, it's only paint. Paint can be rectified. If you make a mistake, you can repair it. And I had to stick to that mindset of, like, it's only paint. You can fix anything. So don't quit so easily. So yeah, so what I've done here, I've done 3 different methods. So let's hide away the bad side. As you can see, I've got the red, I've got the blue, and I've also got the white as well. So you can just see these techniques on 3 different models, and you can see, like, now for the main primary color, I've gone with a real bright orange, and so the colors I'm using today, I'm using a lot of the model game colors, sorry. So as you can see, I've got a nice really bright orange, I've got a nice rusty orange, I've got some rockside. I've also been using contrast as well. Contrast is something that I don't think I've seen on rusting other people. So I'm hoping that with the contrast paint that I've got that to my advantage. Now, if you haven't already, I've got a little video come up where I show you how I put all these into containers. Making this video, I wish I'd done the pigment dam binder in the dropper bottle, because I've pretty much spilt a brand new bottle of pigment binder over my desk, and it was a real rage moment, and yeah, I could have cried. So I got pigment binder in a bottle dropper. This will look absolutely friggin' stunning on the battlefield. Like, you know, most people with train, they don't bother, they just spray it up one color and bang, there it goes. I like to think that with the gaming club that we run in Leighton Buzzard, I always like to make sure that all our gaming tables have really nice terrain, really nice mats, so has an awesome experience. You know, whether it's their first time or whether they've been there for, you know, for the last year and a half since we've been operating, I want it to be the best experience they can possibly have. Because when you're playing 40k or fantasy or D&D or anything like that, for me to make that game work and make the game the best it possibly can, it's all about scenery. It's all about your environment being immersed into the actual game itself, and having nice painted terrain, that really does help. So what I like to do is, with most of my stuff, is make sure that the terrain for our gaming club and for our channel has the best terrain that I can possibly do. Keep in contact, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you're liking and subscribing, turn on the bell, because if you like making terrain, I've got some really cool stuff coming up that I've got plans for terrain. I've got some nice orc scenery that I need to make for the channel and for the gaming club. More importantly, for the tournament side, I need to make sure that our bottom end of the room has some really nice cinematic feel style terrain. And of course, we've got loads and loads of mats, we've got loads of terrain already, but I just want to try to up the game, and I'm going to really work hard to make that happen. Anyway, that's enough of me talking. As I said, if you like what you see, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And of course, if you could be absolutely friggin' awesome and share this with your friends, I'd really appreciate it. I'm going to say no more. Let's get straight down to this painting guide. Okay, so for one of these containers, what we're going to do, we're going to try look upon the speed side, and we're going to use some aerosol cans. So we've got Halford's Carnival Red, we've got the Brilliant Orange, and we're also going to be going in with a brown as well. So this is a nice dark brown. This should be a nice vibrant orange, and this is just going to give it a little bit of red. May not even use the red, but depends on how I go. So what we've done is the model itself is primed in bone white. And that's it. All we're going to do now is let that dry off. So we've got 3 containers here. One is just done via the aerosol can. As you can see, it's quite vibrant oranges. So like a real nice rusty colour, and that's what you're really looking for when you start chipping off the paint underneath. I've done some dark shadowing parts underneath as well, so you can see the different variances of the rust. And on the other 2, I've just done these just with the Vallejo rust colours. So we've got clear rust, clear orange, burnt umber, and then oxide rust. So they're just the colours I've used. And as you can see, we've got some variances in the colours. Again, making sure they are base coated in bone, and having the brighter orange will help pull those other colours out. So for the next step, we're going to try 2 different techniques. We've got liquid mask and we've got chipped medium. Now, chipped medium, you spray all over the model itself, and then you just rub off where you want it to go. As with the liquid mask, works in a totally different way, as in you apply it, stipple it on, and then you're going to rub it off. So I'll take you through 2 different stages, and you can see the different effect. So liquid mask is a really good tool for masking up your model for when you want to airbrush it without getting paint over something you've previously done. But in this scenario, we're going to use it for weathering effects. Now, with the liquid mask, this is not more for, so the model itself is not going to be more wear and tear on the actual model itself. This is going to be more for specific little areas that's going to be chipped on your. Okay, so we're going to start off with a sponge, and then all we're going to do is we're going to just make sure that's nice and go for that little bit there. And then what we're going to do is just dab that in, and all we're going to do is just lightly dab it onto the model where we want the chipping effects to be. So this is a way where you could be more precise at the beginning. So we have a little bit there, a little bit. So going in with the next technique is chipping medium. Now, chipping medium is, with chipping medium, it's really designed to go through the airbrush. Now, you can apply this via paintbrush. The only problem is when you do it through the paintbrush, it doesn't quite work as well. It gets a little bit too thick. So with this, I found just putting it straight through the airbrush, but you want to make sure with your airbrush, you're going with a bigger needle. Don't go too thin with the needle, otherwise it just clogs up in the gun and it's just game over. So we're going straight in here. Now our models are dry, whether it be the mask fluid or whether it just be the chipping fluid. As you can see, once the actual model's dried off, all the details, it just goes like water, so you don't really get much of any blemishes on the actual paint itself. So I'm going to be using a surface primer through the airbrush. There's nothing stopping you using an aerosol can. I just prefer. So now all the models have got their coats of paint on. And you see we've got 3 different, totally different colours on there. And let's start the fun part. So this one has got the masking fluid on it. This one has got the chipping fluid on it. That one has got the chipping fluid on it. And that one is the plain one. So those 3 there, we can see that we've got a nice variance of different colours to play with. And the white is just so we can see how that orange works upon the white. Now the orange is going to be quite bright when it comes through, but I want it to be that way for a reason, to make the chipping and the rusting effects more effective. So if at the beginning of the process you think, God, he's going way too bright there, there's logic behind my madness, trust me. Okay, so we're going to start off with a toothbrush, and then all we're going to do another little technique is a bit of blue tack, and then just like a rubber, just pretty much just do some swirling actions, and that will also help. So this is just the plain white, so this is the white one, and this has got the fluid over the top. So with this one, what we need to do is apply some water. So just apply water over the actual model itself, and where that chipping fluid's been, in a couple of seconds that will start to come off. Now what you want to do with this is two things: either going with a stiff brush, a dry brush, a toothpick, or even an old toothbrush. And once that's done, what you do is then with a toothpick you can just be a little bit more, just do a couple of little lines. So if we do, as you can see there, where I'm just rubbing with the brush. Now this is not a heavy brush, this is quite a light one, but just rubbing away, we're just rubbing away some of the paint where it had been rubbing against something. Over time the paint's just chipped through and it's gone straight through to the rust. Which, with a light brush, just rubbing onto it, as you can see, as I'm rubbing onto it, it's slightly removing the paint, giving that natural wear and tear feel. And it's gone, you can see where it's then gone through the metal, and where it's then taken off that like protective, I suppose, and then creating that rust effect. Okay, so we're going into the next part of the weathering effect. As you can see, what I have done, I've coated the models down with a matte varnish. This is just to protect what we've done so far, and when we start applying the other paints, what we don't want to do is pull any more excess paint off than we've already have. So this is really important at this stage that we do that matte varnish just to protect what we've done. Okay, I'm gonna have to take you through the process again because I forgot the mic. So I did start on a little bit of the process here, but I'm going to take you through it on this next panel where I purposely left clear just in case anything went wrong. And guess what? It went wrong. God damn you, mofo. Right, so we wind. We're going to be starting off doing some of the, we're going to be going in with a shade. So we're going to go with the Earth Shade Gloss. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to put this into all the recesses. Now we're going with the gloss opposed to the non-gloss. Gloss, it's got that property where it likes to stick to the corners. Now a lot of people I know when they do weathering, they like to go down the oil route. For this video, I'm really trying not to go down the oil route because the oil route is stinky as hell. It takes ages to dry, and I feel that you can get some good effects without doing the oils. But we'll know in a sec, right? So actually we need probably a bigger brush. So all we're going to do is we're just going to manipulate the wash into the areas we want it to go to. Now this is just probably a size 2 brush. Now, yeah, it's kind of going a little bit everywhere at the moment, but I'm not worrying about that because what I'm going to do next, just going to get a clean brush, just a damp brush, and all I'm going to do is just neaten up where the gloss has gone in. So I'm just going to blend that. So what the next step, what we're going to go with, we're going to start darkening up the bits in the center to where you kind of got like the more aged rust. We're going to start putting a bit of silver in there as well, just to indicate where it's been scraped upon, that the fresh metal's just starting to come through. So the first color we're going to go with is going to be the contrast orange, and it's going to be that one there. So on my little mini wet palette, I'm just going to put a little bit onto there. I'm just going to get myself a nice fine little brush. All I'm going to do there is just start filling in on the gaps itself. Now, beautiful thing with contrast is the more you add to it, the darker it gets. So if you're not happy, so like with the oranges, they're quite bright at the moment. So I'm going to put lots of colour into this by adding lots and lots of the contrast into it to get it to where I want it to be. But I'm going to leave the edges out So I don't want to fill it right to the edge, because I want to make it look like where the paint's chipped through, you kind of got that fresher, the fresher rust. The reason why the contrast is so good for this is because you can keep adding to it, and the nature of contrast is, say, it just keeps getting darker and darker. Let's go with this one. So back in with the contrast again. So I'm just going to add a little drop of this onto the palette. So again, all I'm going to do is take a little drop of that and then just apply it in. Maybe a little bit more. And again, all we're going to do this is all more down towards preference. But I like to go a little bit darker, because when the next stage, when I start adding the silvers in, that darkness will help make this part pop. Let's get some more lights into this situation. Just realised we're painting with no lights on. Now, if you want to get a little bit smart with this, what you could do is add a little bit of rust, dark rust, into the contrast. So let's get the right one. So we're just going to add a little bit of rust into it. Now what this will do, as this starts to dry, this will start giving the texture. This will actually start giving the texture of the actual rust itself. So for instance, if we start now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of contrast black into that. I want to darken this up a little bit more. And this is so when I do the silver part, this is really going to help the silver pop. So next up, what we're going to do is, I've got a little bit of silver on the palette. To be precise, it's chrome from the metal range. Basically, it's chrome, and I love the chrome. It's quite a nice bright silver, and it works really well for this effect. So then all we're going to do now is just put a little bit in and around. With this stage, you've got to go with the silver that suits you. As I say, chrome, I like chrome. But as you can see, especially like on that part there, as soon as you start adding the chrome onto that, it just then starts bringing out, really does start making a new element on its own. It is friggin' awesome. There you go, so if I do that, I'll bring that around. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to start adding some pigment into this. So we've got a little bit of orange rust here. All I'm going to do is just add a little bit of orange rust just there. Then with a bit of pigment binder, what I'm going to do is going to tap that on the top, like so. And then with a small brush, I'm just going to pull the pigment down, so it gives that streaking effect. Now there's loads of different colours that you can play around with. So you've got some oils. There are so many things that you can apply to this. So for instance, you've got some slimy green dark. And again, with that, you could just pull that in. Let's just start pulling that down. Stick it into the recesses if you wish. Kind of give you a nice little effect if you wanted to go down that route. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of white pigment into that, just so when that starts drying up, and I'm going to go a little bit of dust just there, a little bit of dust just there, and a little bit of dust just there. Bit of pigment binder. I'm going to push down on the dust. I'm just going to streak it. Streak that down, and then with a bit of tissue, you can just take up some of the excess. And all we're going to do is, where the brush is still wet, it's kind of starting getting that streaking effect going on. And I'll tell you what, with that bit there, we're just going to add a little bit more, some other colours into that, just to really help that. So at the moment we've kind of got a little bit too much of the orange, so if we just get a little bit of dust in there. So you've got some real nice weathering effects going on straight away. And then if we just put a little bit of dust up into those recesses there, take a little bit of pigment binder. So I thought I wanted to share another little tool that I got the other day, which has been really cool. There's some weathering pencils that you can purchase, and these are, I believe, AK. There's various different ones you can get, but what I've found so far best with these, if you dip them into water, as soon as you start getting going, you can then just pull them down. You can then just basically do nice little lines. That's where you want to go, and I found these to be really cool. You can kind of just do the little line, do what you need to do. Take a thin brush. You can kind of just straighten that up a little bit. Only got 2 more stages left, thank God for that, because I'm really looking forward to starting my next project, which is Project Patreon. Someone is going to be a very lucky boy. That's all I'm going to say. So the final 2 stages we've got left is we're going to be going over with a flat earth, and what we're going to do is we're going to do that over the bottom parts of the model itself. That's just create that final bit of weathering, and then we're going to matte varnish it, and that is it. That's all we're going to do on it, because at the end of the day this is only meant to be for scenery piece, and as soon as we do that matte varnish, it's going to make it pop. So for this stage we're going to keep the airbrush away from the model itself, because we don't want to get close. We just want to think about where the dust and that's going to be rushing up against the actual building itself. So underneath, let's make sure we've got something coming through. So you've got a little bit underneath there, and then we're just going to have a little bit going up towards the sides. This stuff is just absolute friggin' magic. As you can see, as soon as the matte varnish hits the models, it just brings it into that next element. So like where we would put all the washes in, and you kind of got like that glossy effect going around the sides. So even where I made a mistake, it's brought that in, and it just pulls everything in. It pulls everything in. So once you put like the pigment fixer into it, you kind of get that two different, like the glossy effect and the matte effects. It pulls both of those in together. It helps pulls all the rust effects in, so it makes it feel more natural. All the weathering effects on the side, again, it helps pull that in. You know, the matte varnish just absolutely, for me, it just makes it work, it makes it pop. So a little bit earlier on, so this is one that I've done with the chipping fluid, and as you can see, I've just put chipping fluid on and then just rubbed it off to the patches that I needed to be rubbed off. You see, this one was kind of a bit bare minimal. I didn't want to take too much off this one, just so I can compare the ones where it's like heavily damaged, where I've taken loads off, to one where I've taken less off, so you can see more of the colour variance in it. But as you can see, like with the matte varnish, it's kind of helped pull in all the contrast paints at the top. It's really helped that really blend in, and it just gives it a nice, really nice weathering effect. I really like this one, where you can see where it's gone back to like the primer before it's gone back to the rust, so you can see like the scratches of the, of the paint coming off, but it's not quite damaged it enough, and it's gone through to the primer, especially at the top. I really like that. I think that's really, really cool, something different. I really like it against the blue, where you can see like that's like really, really chipped away, and I like that, and I thought that was really cool. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully, if you like this video, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. If you haven't already, check out our 10k giveaway, and hopefully I'll catch you all very, very soon. Thanks for watching. I'm Darren, and I'll speak to you all soon.